So were you all annoyed with the whole OGL incident? You're trying to look on how to convert your D&D campaign to Pathfinder? Well, so have me and my players. So I want to teach you all about some of the mistakes that I made while converting over. As we converted all the characters over, they're happy with what their characters are. We're about to start the session. I forget to give them magic items. They are level 9. I felt so stupid in the moment. I've been playing D&D for years and I forget to give them magic items. Well, I figure, they're very similar to D&D, so, I can just add the items and we can kind of do it on the spot. No, you can't. They are different. So I give them some magic items, and of course I tell them we might have to change this later on, and I'll work with it next session. So I'm here to teach you guys some of those mistakes that I made. So needless to say, let's get started. First one on our list, we have fundamental runes. These are amazing. So there's 4 types of fundamental runes that you can do. You have armor potency, you have weapon potency, you have resilient, and then you have striking. So the way that you use fundamental runes is you etch a rune onto an armor, weapon, or shield. Depending on the rune that it is, it gives a different property. So armor potency would allow you to increase your armor class, and it determines the maximum number of property runes that you can etch onto the weapon. We'll get to property runes in just a moment. Weapon potency, it allows you to increase the bonus to attack rolls, and it also determines the maximum number of property runes that you can equip onto it. Again, we'll get to it in a minute. Resilient runes give you a bonus to your saves. The last one we have is striking rune. This allows you to increase the damage die on your weapon. These are awesome! They basically work as the +1, +2, and +3 of your armor, shields, or weapons. And the cool part about it is you can kind of turn your non-magical weapon that you like into a magical weapon just by etching a rune onto it. It is really cool, and I feel like Paizo did an amazing job with this idea. So moving on to our next item, we have property runes. There are so many property runes, but put simply, these are runes that you can inscribe onto your weapon and they give it a different property. So as an example, let's say you have a dagger that's a thrown weapon and you etch the returning rune onto your dagger. When you throw that dagger and it completes the hit or misses, it returns back to your hand. And that's just one of them. There are so many property runes. If you guys want, I can make a video later on about the different types of property runes and how they work. Moving on to our third item, we have the Boots of Elvenkind. You can acquire these at level 5 or higher, and what these allow you to do is give a +1 to your acrobatic skill check. And then as a free action, once per hour, till the end of your turn, you ignore difficult terrain while moving on the ground. And if you have the Cloak of Elvenkind, this gives you a +5 foot status bonus to your speed. So there's also a greater version of the Boots of Elvenkind that you can acquire at level 11. These will give you a +2 to your acrobatic check instead of the +1. Moving on to our fourth item, we have the Ring of the Ram. So the activation is 1, 2, or 3 actions, your choice. The frequency is once per minute. So the effect is a ram-shaped force of energy blows into an enemy, and depending on how many actions you spend, it deals 2d6 force damage per action spent, and they move 5 feet back per action spent. And the target has to make a DC 22 fortitude save in order to not be pushed back. So if they critical succeed on the fortitude save, nothing happens to the target. If they succeed, they take half damage and move half the distance. If they fail, they take full damage and move the full distance. And if they critically fail, they take double damage and move twice the speed. This is an amazing item. I think it's way better than D&D's item. Moving on to our next item, we have the Belt of Giant Strength. You can't acquire this item until level 17. However, this is an amazing item. The effects are, you get a +3 bonus to athletic checks, and you get a +2 circumstance bonus to athletics when you lift heavy objects. And when you invest into this belt, it increases your strength score by 2 or brings it to 18, whichever one is better. And this item has an effect. As a reaction, when you're targeted by a rock or a falling rock, you can attempt a athletics check depending on the DC of DM's choice. It can be whoever's throwing the rock's DC, or it can be the hazard DC, or just DC 35, DM's choice. But basically what you can do is if you succeed on this athletics check, you can, as a success, you catch the rock and take no damage. As a failure, you take half damage. And as a critical failure, you take full damage. And our next item, we have a bag of holding. Very similar to D&D, this is a bag that has an extra dimensional pocket inside of it. So it's larger on the inside than the outside. And you can basically store all your items into it. However, unlike D&D, Pathfinder has different levels of bags of holding. So D&D was just bag of holding. In Pathfinder 2nd edition, you have bag of holding 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each of these increases the bulk capacity, which is basically encumbrance in D&D. So a bag of holding 1 would increase your bulk to 25 inside the bag of holding. And from so on, it just keeps increasing. You can acquire the bag of holding 1 at level 4, and then every so often when you level up, you can acquire different bags of holding. Moving on to our next item, we have the boots of speed. You can acquire these at level 13. And what these allow you to do is increase your movement speed or swimming speed by +5. And these also have an effect as a single action. You can click the heels of your boots and you gain the quicken condition for 1 minute. And what this allows you to do is take an additional action to stride, climb, or swim. So very useful if you want to go fast. And moving on to our next item, we have the Headband of Inspired Wisdom. You can acquire this item at level 17, and if you invest into this item, it increases your wisdom score by 2 or brings it to 18, whichever one is better. And as an action once per day, after you've considered a course of action to take, get a gut feeling about if it's good or not. You gain the effects of the augury spell. It has a triggering effect if you fail a saving throw involving confused, fascinated, or stupefy. It allows you to re-roll that and use whichever is better on the roll. And moving on to our next item, we have the Cloak of Elvenkind. So if you have this cloak, it allows you to cast the Ghost Sound cantrip as an arcane innate spell. Also, as an interact action, you can adjust the clasp, and this allows you to give you... It allows you, as an interact action, you can clasp your cloak, and what this does is it allows you to match the environment around you, giving you a +1 to stealth check. It also has, as a 2 action once per day, it has the effect you put on your hood and it gives you the effects of invisibility. And if you have the Boots of Elvenkind, you're allowed to do this twice per day. You can acquire the Cloak of Elvenkind at level 7. And moving on to our last item, we have the Staff of Healing. You can acquire this item at level 4, and basically the effects are, the Staff of Healing grants you an item bonus for whenever you cast the heal spell from your own spell slots or from charges on the weapon. So with the Staff of Healing, it gives you an item bonus of +1, and it also gives you the Stabilize cantrip, and it allows you to cast a first level heal using the charges on the staff or from your spell slot. So this is definitely a really good item to have if you don't have a dedicated healer. So definitely look at this one. You can get it really early on, and it upgrades later on, so you can have a greater Staff of Healing and a major Staff of Healing and so on. So like I said, everyone, I'm trying to convert over to Pathfinder from D&D. I had been playing D&D for years and I love it. It's just... Wizards has just ruined my trust a little bit right now. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have the same reactions. I've seen many YouTubers on here trying to give more information, and Wizards really messed up. But I'm going to start making some more videos about Pathfinder 2nd edition. There's a bunch of YouTubers on here that are, giving information about D&D, and there's not as many about Pathfinder, and I want to give everyone a little bit more information. But I also do want to let y'all know, check out Nonat1's channel. He posts amazing content for Pathfinder. He's been doing this for like 2 to 3 years now, and he's just an immense library of knowledge about Pathfinder. So definitely check him out. And, ain't no Nat. So I hope this video has given you guys a little bit of value and you learned some more things about Pathfinder. Definitely learn from my mistake and give your players some magic items. I plan on giving you some more information about Pathfinder later. I hope this has helped you a little bit. And if you guys enjoyed it, give it a like, maybe subscribe. I don't know. You do you, boo. But until then, keep on rolling.